Hello everyone, Brendan Snyder here, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to take a look at one of the new wave of British heavy metal's biggest acts at the time, most well known, along with other bands like, of course, Iron Maiden and Saxon and Def Leppard. But of the, straight ahead new wave of British heavy metal, we've got Tygers of Pan Tang. They may be most well known for some of the famous members that have been within their ranks over the years, but they did get a start in 1979, helping along with the new wave of British heavy metal. And then their name, or at least a portion of it, Pan Tang, was taken from author Michael Moorcock in one of his fantasy series locations, and they added, of course, Tigers of to it, so Tygers of Pan Tang. That's where that comes from. And the original band was Rob Weir on guitar. He's still with them today, the last remaining original member. Richard Laws on bass, Jess Cox on vocals, and Brian Dick on drums. Now that band kicked off and started recording with MCA, and they did 4 albums with them. This is the MCA Years box set. I have done a separate review of this if you're interested. Please check that out if you are. But ultimately, over the years when those guys were recording, Jess Cox only did the first album. They later added John Deverell on vocals. He was from Persian Risk, another new wave of British heavy metal band. They added John Sykes on second guitar. He came from Thin Lizzy and then ultimately left Tygers of Pan Tang to join White Snake, and then he formed Blue Murder. And when John Sykes left, they added Fred Purser on guitar. So you had a number of changes and things like that, ultimately disbanding in 1987 and later reforming in 1999. Now, over about the next 10 years or so, they went through a number of vocalists and lineups and things of that nature, ultimately stabilizing around 2008. And at that time, they started a series of albums with a pretty stable lineup and the same vocalist. They had this one here, Animal Instinct, in 2008, and then Ambush came out, followed by this self-titled one here, ultimately leading up to the 2019 release, Ritual. So there are 4 albums with a pretty stable lineup on it, and this album here, Ritual's got Rob Weir on guitar. As I said, he's an original member, Craig Ellis on drums, Jacopo Mealy on vocals, Gavin Gray on bass, and then Mickey Crystal on second guitar. And this album here, I think, is pretty straight ahead, new wave of British heavy metal, meaning they're not trying anything groundbreaking or new. You're getting what you would expect with this. It really relies on hooks and melody. I think it draws the listener in right away on it. Cool thing about this is that it was recorded and engineered by Fred Purser, one of Tygers of Pan Tang's ex-guitar players, the one that replaced John Sykes back in the 80s. And it was recorded at his studio. So kind of cool to have that connection from the old to the new here as well. And it was produced by Soren Anderson, who is Glenn Hughes' current lead guitar player. So, also interesting to see that connection and caliber of a musician being part of this. Now this album here, I think, has some really great tracks. Right off the bat, tracks 1, 2, and 3, it just smokes right away. Track number 1, Worlds Apart, is a rip-roaring rocker that opens the album with some really cool guitar lead work. I think this one's going to go down really well live, and just a cool track to kick things off with here. Track number 2, Destiny. It's a mid-paced rocker that I think has a really catchy chorus on it. The lyrics to this go, "This is my destiny, written in stone, and I walk this road alone." It's just a cool line that gets caught in my head, and it's got a cool melodic guitar solo to go along with this. Track number 3, Rescue Me. And this one here is a slow, heavy rocker with a nice chugging rhythm on it, and it's got a big soaring chorus that is just over the top. Track number 6 was the next one on here that I really liked, called White Lines. It opens with some cool guitar, and then the verse on this is sung like a gang vocal, which means there's multiple vocalists singing at one time. You don't usually hear that on the verse part of this. That usually comes in the chorus, so kind of interesting to hear that on here. And then another track that really stood out to me was track number 9, Love Will Find a Way. This one here has a cool lead guitar opening bit on it, and then it retreats into a very somber verse part of it before it really kicks in to high gear during the chorus. Again, just a different way of doing things. The track stood out to me. So here's the album cover of it, and there's the back side of it. I'll open it up here so you can check that out. There's the inside of this. And the booklet's pretty cool. This is kind of unique. Remember I was talking about the location and the name Pan Tang and where it comes from. And this particular release here, they actually do a map of that mythical location, Pan Tang, the island of Pan Tang right there in the center. And of course you can see the tiger on it. So you get that. And then along with that, you get all the lyrics and everything, and you can see there's band members and they've got their faces half done in tigers and things like the album cover. But pretty cool little booklet to go along with this that's not quite your standard thing, that sort of builds on that myth and legacy and everything. So there you go, Tygers of Pan Tang, Ritual. I think if you really dig the new wave of British heavy metal and you're looking for a band that sounds as solid today as they did back in the day, I think you're going to really enjoy this. All right, if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope everyone has a great day. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.